Welcome to the first of 3 videos dedicated to SPIRIT, the guideline for writing protocols, mostly for confirmatory intervention studies. We want to explain the difference between knowing and doing, between science and technology, between a faculty of the University of Barcelona and a school of our Barcelona Tech. Let's begin. Science and technology go hand in hand, but they are not the same. While science wants to know, technology wants to do. Fisher proposed the p-value as a measure of the evidence against a certain null hypothesis with the objective of rejecting it. But the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, so not being able to reject the null does not allow to affirm it. For Popper, if we have tried to refute a hypothesis and we have not succeeded, it may not be definitively true, but it can be accepted tentatively, at least for the moment. Nyman and Pearson, on the other hand, allow acting in both directions by limiting the risks of both erroneous actions. Let's use tobacco as an example. In the 50s, the studies of Dahl and Hill generated decades of discussion about the achieved level of scientific evidence. Much later, Greenland pointed out that, with the available evidence, the most sensible, reasonable action was to act against tobacco. Suppose I decided not to smoke, and today a colleague brings me bad news. I'm sorry, Eric, you have made a type 1 error. Now we know that you do not have the necessary gene for tobacco to cause you cancer. What would have been the consequences? Now instead, suppose I decided to smoke, and the colleague comes with the bad news of type 2 error. I'm sorry, Eric, you have cancer. Would you like me to walk your daughters down the aisle when they get married? In a decision-making environment, sensible means that the implications of not fighting tobacco, if it had these effects, are much worse than those of fighting it if there were no such effects. These consequences receive different names according to the disciplines. Utilities for economists, loss function for mathematicians, and objective function for operation researchers. Attention! Objective function makes the objective transparent, but it does not make it to be objective. Nyman and Pearson did not consider the consequences, but they did limit both risks, alpha and beta, to be able to decide in both directions. We'll see it in the next video. That's all for today. Well, no. One final advice. Practice. Remember that, without a prior sample size rationale, absence of evidence does not imply evidence of absence. Find an article that confuses them. See you in the next video.